Hello, everyone. Hopefully, you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can. Slightly early, so I won't make a start until actually 7 o'clock anyway. Unexpected seeing you here, Dawn, but welcome. Do comment and add chat comments throughout as normal, and I'll try and notice them. If I don't, it may take me a while. But I will try and glance over every once in a while just to check. Right, we're at 7, so I will carry on. Hello, Multicrons, and hello, 100% Pure Elvis. Nice to see you all. It seems to have flown round again. It's a bit weird, these live streams. The months seem to fly by. The work that I produce, these live streams are for, to demonstrate the work, seem to fly by as well. But it seems ages since I did the last live stream. I've got to get used to looking up there as well for the camera. I'm trying out my phone as the camera rather than the laptop camera because the laptop camera seems to be quite blurry. I had some feedback from 100% Pure Elvis last time that you couldn't really see too well what the work that we were reviewing, which is a bit pointless, really. So hopefully this will be clearer, but I might be looking in the wrong place. So I am talking to you, but just not looking into the camera, different camera. Just some feedback from the channel. We're still at 435 subscribers this month, which is a bit disappointing, really. I seem to be stuck in a bit of a rut, really. Any ideas for getting that figure moving again, different types of videos or whatever, then do leave a comment and give me those ideas. I'm happy to listen to anything to try and get the figures going again. I mean, I'm not complaining. 435 subscribers to my channel when it's been going since June is pretty amazing. But it's just been stuck for about 3 months, really. So I was quite happy when it was gradually going up, or sometimes quite quickly going up. But I seem to have stalled a little bit. So any ideas that you've got for different types of video, that would be really good. Other news, I'm now exhibiting again in the local area. I haven't done any exhibiting of my work in physical, the real world, for a long time. I used to do lots of exhibiting when I was a teenager, and also I used to exhibit through some of the societies that I'm a member of, so the Coventry and Warwickshire Society of Artists, Leamington Studio Artists. So I've done that, but again, not for a few years, to be honest. So I've currently got a piece of work in Leamington Studio Artists art room in Leamington Spa. I think, Dawn, you said to me earlier that you'd visited it and said it looked good. Uh, I know 100% Pure Elvis has seen it. Multicrons is probably not going to see it as it's quite a commute from Romania to go and see a piece of work in a gallery that he's already seen online anyway. But it is nice to have work out there. And also, this month on the 18th of February, I'm planning to do an artists and makers market where I'll be showing quite a lot of my work, well, as much as I can fit on and around a table in this market. Um, can we advertise at the Lytton Tree? Of course, that's part of the reason for doing it. I will be putting some business cards out for a start, but I might do some posters and things as well. All this work has to be done before the 18th, of course, alongside the full-time day job. But yeah, absolutely, I want to advertise all of my online presences and talk to people as well and try and encourage people to join the Patreon or the subscribe to the channel. That's the real reason for doing it as much as the sales. I don't envisage I'll sell much, but it is nice to be exhibiting again, and I'm planning to do a bit of that throughout this year. I don't want to go mad. I don't want to be doing a market every weekend. I was saying to Multicrons, who's, for those of you that don't know, is one of my patrons on the Patreon, that I don't want the selling of the work to overtake the actual creation of the work. The point is, I'm an artist who likes painting, and if I'm spending 98% of my time promoting it and selling it, it sort of defeats the point to a certain extent for me. So happy medium. I want to do a few more exhibits, maybe events, but I'm not going to go too mad. Certainly not this first year. But good news from that point of view that I'm actually out there in the physical real world again. Um, the Patreon, I know those of you that follow the channel know that I've set a Patreon up. That's still very early stage days. And there's two patrons. Multicrons is one of them, and Davidov is the other one. Great thanks to them for joining in the early stages, and it's going really, really well. It's more like what I wanted the YouTube channel to be when I first started this in June, sort of a community of artists learning together. But of course, YouTube isn't really the medium for that. I can broadcast what I do and I can share videos of me creating work, but there isn't that two-way communication. Even this live stream, I can answer questions that you type to me, but it's not quite the same as what we do on the Patreon, which is more live events. So we have a drink generally. Sometimes it goes all over the computer. Um, but we have a drink and we draw or I demonstrate, and you'll see some of the work that we're going to review that's been created for this month was in response to Patreon art challenges. There's a fortnightly art challenge on there where we all try and create some artwork based on a topic, either picked by me or one of the other patrons. Um, so that's one thing. But then we also do a fortnightly or about fortnightly social event. So there's been three of those so far, I think, and they vary. So I'm trying out different sort of formats for that. Really, one of them was a drink and draw where we sat and had a drink and drew the same thing, and you'll see one of the pieces of work from this month is that. Another one was a demonstration. So I did a demo, a painting demo, while having people ask questions about what I was doing and how I was working and technique and that sort of thing. That was the first time I'd ever done a painting demonstration in real life or online. And it went much better than I expected, to be honest. I thought I'd be quite distracted by being asked questions and whatever, but it was okay. Multicrons. I wasn't going to say it was you, Multicrons, that spilt your drink on the social, but as soon as you brought it up, it was Multicrons. Makes a change from me being stupid. But yeah, so the Patreon is going really well. There's only three of us, but that's fine, and it makes the live events really work quite well. I'm planning the next live event is just another drink and draw, and then the one after that, I'm planning to be very adventurous and try a streaming life drawing event. So a friend of mine is going to pose, and the others, whoever's joined by then, are going to take part and hopefully do some life drawing over a camera. I don't know if that will work brilliantly. I tried a bit of that when COVID was on, doing life drawing from the television and that sort of thing. Um, and it's not obviously the same, but we live all over the world, and it's a happy sort of compromise, I suppose. And also, a lot of people haven't never tried life drawing before, so it's sort of an introduction to life drawing if they want to go and try life drawing a class or whatever in their own area. Talking of life drawing classes, I attended the Nuneaton one last night, so I'm going to show the work that I did. There's only four pieces from last night. I'm going to show that in this review video as well. I think there's been 10 pieces of work this month, so very much on target as to what I was doing last year. I managed an average of I think 6 pieces a month last year. But of course, I only really started doing a lot of work when I started the YouTube channel, which was in June. So it was only half a year, really. So this year I've started with a bang, and we're at 10 pieces already by the end of January. So exceeding last year from a monthly average so far. Not that it's about quantity, really. And of course, as things ramp up, like the exhibiting and doing markets and those sorts of things, and doing the Patreon as well takes up time, and the website and all those sorts of things. it can sometimes seem a bit daunting to actually have the time to do the artwork, but that hasn't been suffered so far, and hopefully it won't suffer. So let's stop talking about the work that I've done this year so far in January, and show it. A bit of a review for me as much as anything else, because as I said, it seems so long since I did the last live stream, um, that I sometimes forget what I've done, in that time really. But I started on January the 1st, um, with a sketch in the sketchbook. So nothing like starting the year as I mean to go on. And the topic on the Patreon at that point, the fortnightly art challenge was hands. I think that was set by me because I was struggling to draw hands on some of the live drawings that I'd done up to that point. And this was the first thing that I did, a pencil sketch of a hand. I used a YouTube reference video for it, so I froze it rather than only did the 10 minutes that I was supposed to do on the drawing. Um, and that was what I came up with on New Year's Day. Obviously, it wasn't very busy on New Year's Day, and I did some drawing to start as I mean to go on. Overall, I'm quite pleased with it, but there's something a little bit wrong about the little finger, or something not quite right about it. But I'm being picky. The point of doing it was to practice hands. So that was piece one on the first day of the year. The next piece was the drink and draw event that I just mentioned from the Patreon. That was just me, and I'm trying to get it so that the light doesn't reflect on it too much. More difficult than it seems. Um, so I'd got a little lamp, hurricane lamp type thing that a friend of mine had bought for me to draw at some point. Um, so I took a photograph of that on my mantelpiece and used that as the reference for the drink and draw evening. So we had a drink and we both drew this from the same photograph. At that point, just me and Multicrons. There was only two of us on the Patreon at that point, and it was nerve wracking for me. It was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. First time I'd met Multicrons face to face, but we got on fine. We were concentrating on drawing a lot of the time and inanely talking to each other while trying to concentrate. Pencil sketch, I think yours was a pencil sketch as well, Multicrons, and his is on the Patreon, obviously for the other patrons to see. Um, but I'm not going to ask people on the Patreon um, to share their work with the wider world. Um, but I'm happy to show mine. But I think it was a first for you, you did a really good job. Slightly behind me in terms of the speed, but then that's to be expected, really. And that's something that probably will improve over time, especially when we start doing the life drawing socials that I was talking about a minute ago. That'll improve your speed, certainly. Not trying to worry you or anything at this point. You weren't miles behind me. You just didn't do an arm or two, I think. But don't worry about that. It was a good effort and a very pleasurable evening, which is the main point of it. Let's be honest. Um, then I moved back to hands, and I'd been using charcoal a lot at the end of last year. Um, so I'd done pencil up to this point, and I moved back to charcoal. And I tried to do subtractive drawing here. So I put black all over the page and then tried to lift out the highlights using a putty rubber, adding some shadows back towards it. So a bit of a to and fro throughout the drawing. I'm actually quite pleased with that one. It's quite large, as you can see. The sketch pad is A4. I think it's fairly successful on the whole, um, and looks hand-like, not perfect. But the little finger on that one manages to sort of point outwards, which it is in the pose. I used the same YouTube video that I'd used for the first hand for that one, I think, and again paused it, so it took longer than an hour, which is what I'm supposed to have for it. Oh my goodness, Pip's here. How lovely to see you. I thought you were at a wine tasting this evening. I think I'd rather be at the wine tasting than listening to me rattle on about my artwork. But thank you. I wonder if you're on your phone. I wonder if you're at the wine tasting. Why don't you put it on the big screen? It might get me some followers. Don't put it on the big screen. Oh dear. Well, it's nice to have you along. I know you've said you're going to join me, and you've always been busy or whatever, but it's good to have you here. So welcome. So after that hand that we've just looked at, I'd said to people that I'd wanted to return a bit more to painting in 2024. I'd done a lot of sketching, drawing, which is really valuable in terms of getting your accuracy up. But I wanted to return to painting a bit, and I watch a lot of YouTube. You know, I don't just create YouTube videos. I watch a lot, and one of the people that inspires me is um, a lady in Scotland who was originally from Canada called Sarah Burns, and it was cold and frosty. I don't know if you remember in the middle of January, and it's cold and frosty up in Scotland, obviously, and she was going out and doing quick gouache studies of snow and frost and that sort of thing. And I was inspired by watching her. Yeah, I bet it is pretty frosty in Romania, multicrons. Still, spring is in the air and it's around the corner, I'm sure. Not too long to go. But I did this little gouache sketch. Again, I'm trying to stop it reflecting too much. You probably won't see it perfectly. Um, but again, this was in gouache. It'd been a while since I'd done gouache, certainly landscapes. I haven't done many gouache landscapes, to be fair. But it was all about being fast and loose, really. So letting the wet paper play with the expansion of the paint into the wet paper. So sort of letting the painting paint itself in a way, really. Maybe by tilting the paper to get it to generally flow up or across or the way that you want it to go. And this took about 35 minutes, 40 minutes, I think, from memory. And I was really pleased with how it turned out, really. So much so, and I wasn't sure to start with because it's been so long since I did a wishy-washy painting. I'm normally so precise. And I remember I posted it on the Patreon and was talking to Multicrons about whether I liked it. And then the more I looked at it, the more I did like it, and I liked its loose and fastness, and I ended up framing it, as you can see. So it's one of those pieces that will be going with me to be sold, hopefully, um, on the make artists and makers market. Um, and it certainly does evoke a frosty, snowy landscape to me. So I was quite pleased with it on the whole. Uh, David said the same as you, Multicrons, and said it was amazing. And 100% Pure Elvis said it's the favourite piece of work that I've done this month. Good. Um, that's good to know. So that was that one. Um, then I spurred on by that success. I didn't really. Thank you, Pip. It's gorgeous. Um, I was spurred on by that to try again, and I was watching more Sarah Burns on YouTube, and she was doing more and more frosty stuff because it was frosty up there as well. And it was coming around to the Patreon live event time, and I'd said to them that I was going to do very scarily. I'd said that I was going to do a painting demonstration, and I thought, well, we'll try another one of those sort of frosty landscape type things. So I got a reference off the internet somewhere, and I did the next painting, which again I wasn't going to frame, but it grew on me, of this sort of mist, a sort of layer of mist in front of a row of bank of trees and a ditch and frosty grass and some trees. And of course, um, this was done live while people were watching me, something I've never done before, and it was quite scary, really. I mean, not really by that point because I'd been chatting to Multicrons and Davidov anyway at that point, so I sort of knew them quite well. Um, but it is scary, painting. You can have a disaster any day, and it doesn't look very good if you're you're doing it in front of people and you have a disaster. I mean, really, I'm supposed to be the one that knows what I'm doing a little bit at least in this Patreon. Um, but it turned out that it was actually quite good. I quite liked it. The sky was really inspired. I don't know how I did the sky. It was just a bit of very pale blue and a bit of very pale pink, and it doesn't come out on this video because it's a bit bleached out. Um, but yeah, multicrons I did. survive your banter, and hopefully it inspired you to have a go. And in fact, I know it inspired you to have a go because both of you were inspired to go out and buy some gouache paints the very next day. I know yours took a little while to arrive, um, but you've got them now, I think, and I've had a go doing a portrait. Very brave, doing a portrait in gouache on the Patreon. But yeah, so it must have inspired you in some way to have a go. And all I can say to you is don't give up at the first attempt. It is one of the most difficult mediums to use, watercolor, and uh, gouache is a lot easier than watercolor because of its opacity. But do persevere a little bit now you've got the paints, and maybe try different subjects as well, because some subjects are suited better to gouache than others. So this was the next one anyway. It was a success. I wasn't going to frame this one either. During the live stream, I sort of kept looking at it and thinking, "Oh, it's a bit amateurish, but what can I expect when I've done it while being questioned and talking and having a drink and those sorts of things." But actually, the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. So again, it was framed. So another good successful job. And then the last piece was in response to the next live, not live event, in response to the next art challenge, the fortnightly art challenge. Davidov had picked the next topic, and he had different ideas about topics. So up until this point, we'd been doing things, and he sort of suggested a topic that was a bit more storytelling. And he came up with the topic of unexpected pleasure. So it was a bit difficult for me to come up with something that I might do. And I think Multicron struggled a little bit as well. And I thought, well, Marmite, if you believe the adverts, 50% of people like it, 50% people hate it. But those that like it must have probably tried it in the initial time they tried it, and probably were pleasantly surprised. So I thought they'd all had an unexpected pleasure by trying Marmite for the first time. And this tied in with me wanting to return to more painting. And I'd done two gouache paintings at this point this month, not done any oil paintings for a long time. So I thought I'd dig the oil paints out and have a go at doing this still life of a jar of Marmite. I bought a new jar of Marmite. Talk about investing in art. It was about £3.95 or something from Iceland. I couldn't believe how much it had gone up. But anyway, it wasn't a massive jar either. Um, so I've got a new jar of Marmite, which I had some of for breakfast this morning. In fact, I opened it this morning. But in the meantime, I'd painted a picture of it. And again, I quite liked the way that this worked out. It's been a long time since I've done oils, which is, of course, very different from doing gouache. Um, what have I missed here? Um, yeah, love it or hate it. And obviously, the people that love it must have had an unexpected pleasure. What's the point of this, really? Um, oh, Dawn hated Marmite, but not when she was pregnant, which I presume meant she loved it when she was pregnant. So there we go. That's a bit weird. So it's not as cold cut as I thought it was. Maybe if you're pregnant, you can change from a hater to a liker or the other way around. Interesting. So again, I was quite pleased with that one. It's been framed because I thought it was quite okay. Um, Pip says he's never been pregnant. I don't. Can you actually all read all the comments? I don't know. I read them out as if you can't see what people are saying, but I'm sure you can probably see it. But maybe it helps those people that are watching the live stream after the event. I don't know. Oh, so you can read them. Maybe I won't read them quite as much as I do normally. So that was that then. That was last Sunday, and then I wasn't very well after doing that Marmite. I hate Marmite after that, but I had sickness after that, so I was out for a few days. And then the next thing that I did was the life drawing group in Nuneaton, which I was really looking forward to because it seemed a very long time since we'd done that. Because of course the last one was November, and then there wasn't one over December because the end of December is always Christmas and New Year busy, so there wasn't one in December. But it was good to return to that, and I returned to pencil for sketching because obviously you don't get many minutes to necessarily do a pose. Actually, last night the poses were a bit longer than they were previous sessions, but there's always some warm up poses at the beginning. Um, it was a lady who was clothed half the first half of the evening and nude at the end of the evening. This was a 5 minute sketch. Multicrunch, you're going to learn about 5 minute sketches when we do our Patreon life drawing live event. Um, I won't expect you to actually get a figure, as I've actually managed to get in 5 minutes there when you try it, but you will get better at that sort of thing the more that you practice it, really. It's quite amazing, really, that in 5 minutes I've managed to capture the pose and the shape of the figure. And stop putting faces. You'll be fine. Just draw a stick man. As long as the legs and arms are in proportion, I'll be judging that. So yeah, 5 minute sketch. It's actually got a head on it. It's even got facial features on it, which often in a 5 minute one you shouldn't really be bothering about that sort of thing. But it has got a face on it, so that was okay. Then there was another 5 minute sketch. Um, Again, slightly different pose, just arms sort of out to the side and legs apart slightly, and another face again, bit bleachy. But again, quite pleased with that. And then we moved on to the nude poses after that. Seated with one knee up. There's quite a lot wrong with the shoulder area of that one. This was a 30-minute pose. So as I said, that last night the poses were quite long, and it doesn't always help having a longer pose. I think sometimes you can do a much better and more immediate drawing and a representative drawing. If you haven't got the time, it makes you really focus on what's important. Whereas you can end up sort of fussing too much um, if you've got more time. But I mean, it's not terrible. You can see the pose and everything, apart from maybe that foreshortened leg at the front. It's not very good. And then the last pose was an hour, or pretty much an hour, getting on for an hour. So a seated figure, and again, I've just about got the proportions right. I've been trying when I'm doing live drawing and have got the time to do it, as in a longer pose, to try and do more detailed faces. Whenever I used to do life drawing, I used to shy away from doing the faces, and I think it's important to put the face on, because the face and the head can give you a lot of information about the pose, really, whether the even the face is in shadow or half in shadow or whatever. It can give you a lot of information about where the spine is, I suppose, because let's face it, the head is the top of the spine. So I've done lots of practice of portraits over the last year in the sketchbook and whatever, as you've all seen, for those of you that have been following me. And I'm a bit more confident about putting them on to life drawings. Obviously, it's very much at a very small scale, so it's difficult to get the detail in. But I think overall that's quite a successful attempt in an hour. Not bad at all. So that was the work that I have been doing in January 2024. 10 pieces, as I say. So above average from last year. I've enjoyed it, even though I've been doing lots behind the scenes as well, like website updates, organising things like the market and delivering work for the exhibition in Leamington at the moment. Um, so busy, 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 but I've still managed to keep the actual point of this channel, which is the painting and drawing up. Um, Pip says he's only done. Oh, I'm reading it and nobody can read it. Only done one life drawing. Yeah, doing faces is difficult, and it took me a while to get to the point of being able to add them. And I've been doing it for years. So if you only did one life drawing class, it would be unlikely that you put a face on it. You need to tell Multicrons that, because he will be wanting to put faces on his life drawings, and he mustn't. Thank you very much for saying that, Dawn. Um, I am growing. I am getting better. I'm getting more prolific. I'm growing in confidence a little. A little. Um, the idea of me doing a demonstration to people, um, even last year when I started the channel, was unthinkable, I think, really. But I did it and it went quite well. And there'll be others along the way. The Patreon is lovely. It's exactly what I wanted to do when I started this. So even now it's a community of 3 people, but hopefully a few more. A few friends have said they might join sort of nowish or February. Um, so I'm hoping there's a few more, but the number of people isn't important to me. I think it's a really supportive community who have been inspired to do regular work. So we all do work every fortnight for the Fortnightly Art Challenge. Doesn't matter the standard of that work, it doesn't matter how it turns out. It wouldn't have mattered to me really if the demo that I did in the live event was a disaster. I would have learned something from doing that demo and hopefully improved for the next one. And so it's a very much supportive, um, inspirational place to be creating work. And you can see that from the work that I've done this month. Most of the work that I've done this month is in response to the challenges, um, and the things that are going on in the Patreon. For those of you, I don't know if there will be anybody that watches this after the actual live event, but I've added a link to the Patreon if you want to join us on there, in the description to the video. So there is a link there, but you'll find a link to it on some of the other videos and go forwards on more videos on YouTube. 100% Pure Elvis, what is the next piece of art you are working on? I don't know the answer to that because I'm very spontaneous. The next art challenge I've set for the group, and that is animal. So I may do a picture of a dog or a cat or a bird again. I don't know. I've done a few birds in the past, so I'll probably steer away from that if I can do something a bit different. Um, and part of the reason for the challenges is to do things that we're not necessarily always used to doing. Um, so if you have a go, you learn something from it, and you might find out that it's not for you. You'll be pleased to hear, Dawn. I know you challenged me on a live stream, and I think it was the first live stream to do a picture of flowers. I did try, failed miserably, never saw the light of day. But the next social, drink and draw social, which is this coming Friday, um, Multicrons has got a picture of I think some flowers or a flower in a vase or something. So I will be finally um, fulfilling your challenge. If I do anything that's worth looking at, maybe it'll still never see the light of day. But he'll be able to vouch that I did try. No, I really did fail at the flowers. Trust me, the ones I tried. It was a lovely picture of flowers, and I certainly didn't make anything of it at all. Right, I think that's everything I wanted to say. I've caught everybody up with where I am. Um, oh, it's a very complicated flower and vase. Oh dear. There'll be lots of furrowed brows on Friday, as well as drinking going on from my end. If it's very complicated, he's got a photo reference for us to draw. It's a bit difficult to do live drawing in terms of all do the same thing with a camera. I'm going to try that with a live drawing. It might not work. So we tend to work from a photo when we're doing the drink and draw. We all drink drink. We all drink the same thing. We don't all drink the same thing. We all draw the same thing and drink very different things. Mine is normally a gin and tonic or several gin and tonics. Multicrons tries to drink, but actually his desk drinks instead. And I don't think David. Oh no, David did have a drink when I was doing the demo, but I was so concentrating on what I was doing, I don't know what he was drinking or how much of it he was drinking. He has a pet cat, doesn't he? Maybe I should get a photo from him of his pet cat to do for animal. Anyway, I've kept you all far too long. It's over half an hour now, and I try and keep these to half an hour. It's good to see people join me. I think this is the most concurrent users I've ever had. There's something good to come out of this. Um, I'll see you at the end of February when hopefully there will be 10 more pieces, or at least some pieces done. I'm going away on holiday with Mark up to the Lake District, sort of the middle of February. So that might stop me doing quite so much work, or it may encourage me to do more. It depends on the weather and all those sorts of things. It's, oh my God, a Gerbera Jamesoni. You think mine's going to actually look like a recognizable flower that somebody somebody could work out what it is from my drawing? It was lovely to have you on board, Pip. Um, Thank you for joining, and do join us again on the next one. I know it's art isn't your thing necessarily, but it's nice to catch up. Okay, so I'll see you on the next one. Bye.